You
Surprise.
didn't tell me that earlier.
I didn't. I know I didn't. Okay, let me just have a look here. So we'll go and then I'll do some introductions. We want to take this into Bookkeeper's Corner. Okay. Sharing a live stream. I'm a minute late, but I got us there. Thank you for whoever popped up into the chat. Leanna, thank you. It was the chat I saw. I didn't see you guys. Okay, go live. Awesome. So, welcome everyone to Beyond the Cloud. Hello. Obviously, I am not Tanya.
Good afternoon.
And I am here on behalf of Tanya because Tanya is currently in Toronto. She is attending her once a year annual convention with the Stars of Supernatural. So if you follow her on Facebook this weekend, you will see a lot of fun stuff happening. So she's off having fun. And you guys have me, so hopefully I'm not too much of a disappointment and I can keep the conversation running. But it's just going to be the usual freestyling Fridays. So we'll just chat about whatever kind of comes to mind. So I thought we might start. It's Thanksgiving weekend. So if everybody wants to share who you are and what's your favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner. So just in case anyone here or out there doesn't know who I am, I'm Leanne. I'm Tanya's operations leader. And my favorite part of Thanksgiving meal has to be the pumpkin pie with whipped cream. So
I'll second that.
who wants to introduce themselves next for me?
I'll go. Yeah, sure, I'll go. I'm Leanna, Rain City Accounting Services. I'm in North Vancouver, BC. We're doing something completely different this year because we're all so busy with the family. We're going for Chinese food.
Nice.
Dim sum, actually. Yeah. So
awesome.
We don't feel like cleaning up messes. We don't feel like cooking. We don't feel like doing nothing. So
that's awesome.
Going out, and there's about 10 of us, maybe 12. So
that's the way to start some new family traditions, for sure. Yeah.
It won't be a family tradition. It's
just needed this year a break.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, totally different. So that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Carol Kostachuk. I'm Carolyn Koloff's assistant here in Maple Ridge, BC. And we are kind of stretching our Thanksgiving out this year. My cousin every year likes to run away on this weekend to go biking. So my aunt's pushing Thanksgiving to next weekend. So I'll be having turkey next weekend, which will be, the stuffing is my favorite because it's so good and yummy. And that's the only time I'll eat it is turkey because it's so fattening. So this weekend it'll just be my husband and I, and I think we're going to have some ham and scalloped potatoes. So those are good too.
Nice. Yeah, good choices. All right. Deb, Jessica?
Hi, I'm Jessica.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Deb, if you want to go
No,
first.
let's go. You go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I am actually in Florida, USA, so it's nowhere near Thanksgiving yet. I have to get through the Halloween first.
Right.
And I'm actually not a big fan of the traditional Thanksgiving foods. I hate cooking them. I hate eating them. I hate the whole ceremony of thing. It's not that I'm not thankful, but I'm definitely not thankful for the whole stress of the holiday. I grew up in Puerto Rico where Thanksgiving is different. So I actually love eating pernil, which is roasted pork. I am not a fan of turkey. But because I am married to an American man that is very traditional, I will have to cook a turkey and I'll be grumbling the entire time about it.
That's awesome.
And last but not least, I guess, is me. I'm Deb Fletcher. I'm out of Colorado. My company name is Accounting and Bookkeeping Services, and I specialize in e-commerce accounting and cannabis. And for me, Thanksgiving, I don't have family, and my friends are all off with their families, so I don't actually celebrate it at all. My turkey dinners are usually chocolate cake.
Well, hey.
You're onto something.
You know, something that's quick made and I can eat it on the fly. So that's how I celebrate it.
You know what? That's the beauty, though, of being able to control. You know what I mean? Like you can do whatever you want. Yeah. And Lillian, you joined us kind of late, but we were kind of introducing ourselves and letting everyone know kind of what your favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner was. And yes, forgive me, you guys in the States, I forget that holiday is separated, but
Yes, we're about a month away, a little bit more than that. But we usually have the traditional turkey with all the stuffings in November, um, mostly because it's just traditional. I'm not a big fan of it, honestly. It's like a big bird, you know. It's just, I don't know. I'd rather have a chicken, quite honestly. But I guess the Pilgrims didn't do it that way, so we won't either. But yeah, so anyway, for those
nice.
of you who don't know me, I'm Lillian Larson, located on the south coast of Boston, and I specialize in service businesses and attorneys.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks everyone for sharing and getting the conversation going. So, to keep it flowing, does anyone have a topic of conversation that you want to chat about this week? Anything that's happening in business?
Well, I actually heard something which you guys probably did too, which is like a big deal right now. There's a payroll company out of New York called My HR Payroll, or I think it's
My
similar to
payroll
that.
HR, yeah.
Yes. And you know, it's kind of frightening with this was a small company, and one day they just weren't there, and there's, I think, I don't know how many millions of dollars that are missing. It's really kind of scary. So I just heard that, and I just thought, you know, how important for us, you know, to deal with reputable companies, people that we know, not just anybody on the fly, because that really made me think about who I use, you know, and just really made me think about, you know, my customer safety. So basically what they did was this guy, I think his last name is Mann, he just left with millions of dollars, left the escrow bank, I guess, who was also dealing, the bank that's in between the businesses and the payroll company, left them without the money. Then this escrow company came in and took everyone's money, not only once, but twice because of an error that occurred. So there's just like thousands of people that have been affected by this.
Oh, that's
Wow.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Is this
Yeah.
a US only company? Do you know? Because I don't recognize them. It is. Okay, Jessica's shaking
They're
her head.
based in New York, and small is debatable. They had several hundred customers throughout the entire country, and they process the payroll. And that what will happen is if you're a small business and you have them run their payroll, they take all of the money, the wages and the payroll taxes, and then they were supposed to deposit it on the employees' accounts and remit the payroll taxes on your behalf. So this guy, without notice, said, "We're closing. You're gonna have to find somebody else to do your payroll ASAP because that's it. We're closing today." All of the employees found themselves without a job, and all the payrolls that had been processed that week that were already in transit, they showed us a deposit in the employee's account. When the escrow company realized, oh, there's no money, he took it, they pulled the money out. But because they did the first pull wrong, they submitted a second pull. So some employees had their check withdrawn twice, which is in violation of ACH regulations. So it's a whole
Yes.
big mess. There's criminal charges, there's investigations.
Oh my
And it's
goodness.
been going for over a month. So if you guys want to learn more, I recommend you check out the Cloud Accounting Podcast with Jamie Oliver and Adam Leary, I think is his name.
Yes.
Because they've had several episodes where they've been chronicling the whole situation, and they've even had guests talking about it. They had a guest from the company, the escrow company, Cachet Financial Services, talking about it from their angle. and they had a lawyer. It's a big mess that we don't have enough time to really unravel here. But
No.
yeah, like I think Lillian's point was you do need to be very careful when you're trusting a company to take out that big chunk of money. And this company had been established for 12 years. They had a pretty good reputation until now.
Yeah.
So it goes to show that just because you've had somebody for a decade and everything's been going smoothly, you never know. You know, human nature can get in the way. People's greed, who knows?
That is kind of scary. Somebody, they've been in business for 12 years. I mean, we don't make decisions fast when we switch apps because there's so many apps and like the new shiny thing, right? So you wait several years, you watch what they're doing, you see kind of which direction they go, but that's very scary. Barb from Dry Run actually just shared on Facebook a link to, it looks like, to an online story for it. So if anybody wants to check out underneath our live feed on Facebook, there is a link to it. And then, of course, the podcast that Jessica mentioned, if you want more information. But yeah, I think the biggest takeaway there is when you're considering your processes, protecting yourself and your clients, it will be interesting to see what comes of this and what kind of protections can be put into place to protect us and our clients in future, for sure.
Yes, I think it will be a good call for U.S. legislators to modernize the payroll system, because a lot of this stuff, the ACH transfer system and the way those bank files were being sent is from the 70s. It's antiquated.
Mm-hmm.
And there's very little regulation. So I'm not that I'm a fan of a lot of regulation, but for something like this, when millions of dollars are at stake and it could potentially, I mean, some of these employees couldn't pay their rent, couldn't buy their medicine. People's lives are at stake. Some stringent rules are needed. So here in the US, it's something to watch for any of us that run payroll, because we may start seeing some new laws being passed to prevent this from happening again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that comes up sooner than later. So I guess they don't even know what this gentleman is. Have you heard anything else, Jessica, on this gentleman, where he is?
I know that he is cooperating with authorities.
Okay.
He had originally disappeared with all this money, and the FBI had shown up to his house. I don't know if he's actually shown up in person, but my understanding is that he is facing some charges in the state of New York, and that he's cooperating with authorities. But the last update I had was from the Cloud Accounting podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't listened to this week's episode. I don't know if there's something new.
Stay tuned.
Yes, it's an evolving story.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, that news article is from the 19th of September. So I imagine there will be continuing updates as it all unfolds. But it mentions $35 million.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
That's a lot.
Very big deal.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome, Diane. Okay, so that's a serious discussion. Anybody else have anything else they want to chat about this week? Anything going on in...
I do. I got an email from Intuit that they're updating their terms and conditions. And I am too busy to read through pages of legalese. I was wondering if somebody had done the reading and could give me the Cliff Notes version, please.
Oh, I'm not sure we got that email. I didn't get it to mine. So whether Tanya got it or not, or if it's a U.S. thing.
It may
Did
be
anyone
a
in
US
Canada?
thing.
It looked like it covered everything. I didn't get to read all the fine
I don't have
print.
anything.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
much too long to go through the fine print.
I
Okay.
was just too busy. I was like, I don't have time for this. And I know that I'll be too busy and I don't want to miss the deadline, because, the way they make it is, if you continue to use our services as of this date, you're agreeing to these terms.
Right.
And
Yeah.
granted, because of our industry, it's not like I can really afford to move before the deadline, but I also like to know what I'm agreeing to.
Yes. This will have to be continued. I'm going to have to take it out. I know I saw that myself, and I kind of browsed through. I said, "Oh my God, there's so many different facets in there." I thought it was perhaps just maybe the software, but it's more than that.
You guys should basically organize a study group type where you'll split it into pieces and you'll each study your piece and let the others know if there's anything where you're like, hey, you should know that this is in here before
Oh
you
my God.
find it.
It's like a book club.
Yeah, it's just a very boring book club, and I love reading. But other companies, this is the thing that makes me gripe about it. Other companies, whenever they update their terms of services, they send me an email saying, just so that you know, this is what changed.
Yeah.
And they give you a plain English summary of what changed with a link to the relevant legal section that changed. So I don't have to dive through the whole sections with the old agreement and the new agreement, trying to figure out what's different. Nobody has time for that. It's the end of the quarter. I have a lot of closings to do.
Yeah.
Well, they do have a general section, and this is what it covers. I'm looking at it right now. General terms, your rights to use the services,
It's
payments
so
and
vague.
taxes. Use
That
what
doesn't
you
tell me anything.
California Consumer Privacy Act, content and use of the services, communications, changes, termination, export and trade restrictions. That's what it's covering. It's like,
Yeah, that
wow.
doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
No, that's what it says. This is the general overall of what we've changed. And it's like, but that's not any details at all.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to cover, and that could, yeah, that'll take some time.
And they're also covering the QuickBooks Live too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole mess. They keep trying to contact me to go work for them.
Oh, they're contacting my clients.
Like, please, I make a lot more on my own.
Yeah, that's all on every one of my clients is,
Yes, I did
a
see
lot
that.
of my clients have
section.
asked me about it.
Yep, every one of them I've looked.
Which is surprising because one of the things, and I don't remember who it was. I don't think it was the leader of Asan, or Sasan was his name. I don't think it was him, but it was somebody up there that said that they would not contact our existing clients, and they're not contacting them, but it is on their dashboard when they look up there. So, it's a little disappointing.
I think that was Pierce, isn't that his name?
Yes.
And he left today.
Yes.
He
Yeah, and he
went
left
on a lot of podcasts and town halls telling people, we are not going to go after your clients.
Right.
And I actually got into trouble because I made a big stink on Facebook when a client that was linked to my account had a big pop-up ad about it saying, explain this to me. I feel lied to. So then at first he tried to backtrack, and when the evidence was overwhelming and he couldn't deny it, he said, oh yeah, we changed our mind. Yes, we will be advertising. Just know your clients will see mention of the service here, there, and here, and here, and here. So now if your client goes to change their settings in QBO, they're going to see an option to sign up. If they go to any of the help pages for QBO, at the bottom, it's going to be encouraging them to sign up. So for us, yes, I was mad at first just because I was lied to, but it's a really good opportunity for us to differentiate and show our clients how we are better than a mass assembly service. This software company that's suddenly trying to switch gears just because they made a lot of money with TurboTax Live and it was very profitable for them. That's why they're trying to replicate it in here. But really, the service is very inexpensive, so you don't want to compete on price. You want to compete in quality.
Exactly.
And the service they offer does not offer everything that a client will need.
I saw a notice on Facebook somewhere today that Pierce has left Intuit.
He did. He probably got tired of getting angry emails from people like me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because really, it feels like he's been in damage control since April.
Yeah. Tiffany
Yeah.
Tiffany Stewart announced it today, I think.
Yeah.
I know Sandra saw it here in the office and shared it around. So that's kind of big news because they've lost a lot of their high-level executives, right? So a lot of turnover there.
That typically means that there's a lot of changes happening at the top that are starting to filter down through people that have been there for a while, and they don't like the changes. And
yes, they don't like what they see. And I attend the investor call because I am an investor, so I see it from both sides, as a customer and as a shareholder. And as a shareholder, it's great. It's going to drive up the value of my portfolio. I'm going to get more dividends. But as a customer, I'm really not liking it. And it's making me want to seriously considering selling my shares.
mm-hmm.
Well, and those of us that don't have shares, I'm moving my clients to something else.
And that's a lot of pro advisors are not renewing their certifications. They're moving to Xero, Accounting Suite, Sage. They're looking for alternatives. because it's just like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's not just this, it's everything else that they've been doing, one thing after the other.
Yep.
That a lot of people are
Build
just
and
saying,
build. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say to that is the others aren't innocent either, right? There really isn't anywhere that we can go in the current 3 big software companies that you don't see that happening, where they're trying to get directly to the end consumer.
yes, there's some smaller players like Accounting Suite. They are saying, we won't raise your prices. We won't steal your clients. So they got a brilliant marketing campaign. Now, granted, the software has a long way to go. It's a very good foundation. It's good for some industries. But if you're used to QBO, it's not the same. But I just love how when you sign up, the price that you get today is the price that you're going to get in 10 years. You don't have to worry about this increases every 10 years. Supposedly, they're not planning on competing with you offering the bookkeeping service. That remains to be seen.
Well, and they
Yeah.
also offer the 50% off, and that's the ones I get.
Oh,
my
yes, the
clients.
partner program is very good.
Yeah, I lock them into the 50% off, and it's been great. No complaints so far.
Yeah, it's very valid, but yeah, Diane's right. The unfortunate thing is we're not going to really know. You switch and then you don't really know. It's business, right? So,
And there's
Yeah.
still going to be so many millions of customers using QuickBooks Online because they pay Danny DeVito to saturate all media, telling you how easy it is. Then they'll
Yes.
sign up, realize it's not so easy, but they still need help. And QuickBooks Live is not for everybody. So there's still going to be a market for us.
Yeah, it's
Well,
really
but
just
it-
trying to keep up with all the changes that are going on, because if you just look around in all software companies, there's so many changes. They're all, you can see like the big ones have joined forces with some other big ones,
Yeah.
Auto Entry with Sage, and, everybody's just, I guess it's, the big fish
Let's-
eating the
let's hope-
little fish.
Let's hope it's not a race to the bottom.
Yes, I hope not.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and all the constant cleanup clients, every single client that has come to me with QuickBooks is a cleanup project.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
all of mine too.
Matter
Very
the size.
profitable.
Yes.
I don't mind.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the size, doesn't matter how many years they've been on it. It is a cleanup project, and then you've got to try to break them of their habits, and sometimes that's hard. I've got
the
Yeah.
one
easiest, just get
client
them
now-
out of their books.
Yeah.
Stay out.
I've got
I
one gal
agree.
just insists on working in it, and every time she does, it's like you've got to stop doing training after training, and still. And then the questions of why am I seeing this? Can't I just go in and delete it? And it's like, oh my
Yeah. Yeah.
no, you cannot delete in QuickBooks.
Deb, I had that exact thing happen 2 weeks ago where
Yeah.
a client that was, they had a little bit of a cash flow issue going on. So she wasn't actually, she was trying to do more and more of everything herself. And we were supposed to meet on a regular basis once a month to make sure that everything that she was entering was going in okay. But anyways, that twiggled off. So because she didn't want to pay the once a month thing, of course, right?
Yep.
And then finally, when she goes to do a bank reconciliation that, won't work, she calls me. And we ended up having to go back and undo 6 bank reconciliations.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Somehow the opening balance got changed to the account in one account. She was doing some real crazy stuff in payroll, so that was a huge mess to clean up. And I had to send her a bill because I had to clean it all up. And I thought, I hope they actually sit down and look at this and go, we didn't save a thing
No.
in the long run,
Yes,
right?
and that's the lesson to be learned, because I deal with a lot of clients that they're starting up and they think, I can't afford it, it's not worth it, I'll do it myself. They just need to pay for one cleanup. And then they
Yep.
realize my time is best focused on generating revenue. And that's why
Yep.
one of the quotes on my marketing is, focus on what you do best and outsource the rest. Really, you have no business making these messes, because it's not only the bill to clean up. In many cases, there are tax implications,
Yeah.
whether there be
Do a
penalties,
payroll. Yeah.
missed deductions, over-reporting income.
Yes.
Once they see how much it costs them, they learn. Unfortunately, we need more of them to realize before it gets there. Not that I
Yeah.
will turn out those cleanups. I always have a steady stream, and like I said, it's my most profitable
Right.
revenue stream.
Which
Well,
is
and
why
that's-
I do
and
the
that's what-
closing of the books
And yeah,
Mhm.
smart.
every
Yes.
month. So if they
Yes.
want to change something, they have to call me and say, I need
Yep.
to do this. And usually I'll be like, well, I'll do that for you.
Yeah.
Because the way
And
you
the
want to do it isn't
password that I
exactly.
set-
Yep.
And the password that I set when I close the books is this change will cost $100. And they don't change anything.
I like that.
Oh, that
That's
is awesome.
Yep.
Because some of them will say, give me the password, it's my file. Sure, here's your password. Oh, okay.
That's good.
Oh, that's excellent, Jessica. Good for you. I have an actual question for Lillian and Deb.
Uh-oh.
Where do you get? How do you get that background screen? Is that like a download you can do, or?
Mine is where I live, so I don't know if I can point to it. My finger will work right there. Is my house. If you can see that little tiny
see.
dot. So
I
this
see.
is from my back section. I live on 320 acres. This is my back section looking down at the house, and I just uploaded the picture, and then you go to your settings, and if you select virtual background, it pops right in.
So are you on a paid version of Zoom then to do that? I think.
Now the free version has that. You'll probably need to set it up on the app, on the desktop, or on the website, not on the
Yes.
mobile app. But once you configure it, then you have that.
Oh,
And I
that's
like
excellent.
Jessica's cat.
Oh yeah, my kitty's
I saw her last time
Aw.
too. Oh,
Your
She's
little
my
assistant is adorable.
I love
She's my
cats.
assistant, so she's just busy at work.
Well,
And there are like a
tail go
few,
by.
I think there's like 3 or 4 things you can pick. And I know that either Tanya or Leanne will tell you if you don't like what's there, they know another place to get some other backgrounds. But I sort of like San Francisco, so
I just uploaded my own, and you see
very
it
nice.
the way it works.
When you see Tanya, she's using an actual green screen. So we do have a green screen that she props up. I've got a white screen, which really just hides the mess behind me. So mine's not fancy. Mine just hides the mess.
Yes, I tried those virtual backgrounds, but if you have a lot of gray like I do, it makes it shimmer. So then it looks like a sparkly fairy hair.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, that is. Wow.
Okay, that's great because I wanted to do that and thought, oh, well, maybe because I don't have a paid version of Zoom yet, I'm actually going to get one. But currently, right now, I just have use the free one because typically I'm only got 2 people in the Zoom call.
You can do it with the free one, so you don't need to upgrade for that. And you can play around. Some people create an image with their logo and have their logo in the top right-hand corner and make it seem professional. The possibilities are endless.
Good.
And it's great. You don't have to show your messy office, although yours never is, but mine typically can be. So
Well, right now I'm sitting in my living room. I'm not even in my office.
Yes, you look very relaxed
you
today,
look
Diane.
Yes. I like the picture in the background.
I do too. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
beautiful.
That's a local artist that did that. Yeah,
That is
Nice.
very nice. Whoever they are, they did a fantastic job.
yeah. Yes, Marlo's sitting on my lap here. Aren't you? Wondering who's mommy's talking to. Yeah. Yeah. People see you?
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
He has these big brown eyes, but it's really cool. He's got a built-in highlighter all around his eyes. So he's got a black line all around his eyes. And it really makes his sad eyes, come out. Yes, Mr.
Nothing better than doing what we do where we can work on a couch with our animals cuddle up next to us and just be very relaxed. Yeah.
It's not typical, but I thought I can sit down and cuddle with him for a bit.
Very nice. So I'm curious, as well, I don't think you guys, you Canadians have to deal with this, but pretty soon we're going to go into our 1099 season, which is basically all year for me, trying to get everybody up and going. Just curious from everybody, what you do as far as, I'm thinking this year of sending them like a list, maybe a month before year end, and having them confirm that these are correct, if there's any changes. I don't know. Do you guys have other,
I have a
things
whole
that you do?
workflow for it because I've been burned in previous years and I learned my lesson and said never again. So I actually start nagging my clients in July. So they already got their first notice of you need to get W-9 forms for all your subcontractors. Don't wait until the last minute. Then in December, the first week of December, they get the year's almost over, time to get ready. Then in the middle of December is when I tell, these are the contractors that I have in right now. Please verify and confirm. And throughout that whole process, every notification has a reminder that the deadline for all information that I need is the first Friday in January. I am no longer going to be taking information, because the deadline is January 31st, and some people may say January 27th, oh, I need these forms.
Right.
There is a rush fee if they want me to do that. And the fee increases the closer it's to the deadline. I did that last year for the first time. Oh, it was so much better because previous years it was so crazy because they just ignore, and then procrastinate, and then I was pulling my hair out.
Right.
So they cannot say they did not know because I've been reminding them starting at the middle of the year, and they will get several reminders before the year is over, letting them know 5 p.m. Eastern time, the first Friday of January, unless you want to pay extra.
So I think that's a great idea. I send reminders of anything that I think may be a subcontractor every month. At the end of the month, I'll just send them out. But human nature, I always get it like in the beginning of January when we don't have too many days, and now what used to happen was you'd be able to send the first part of the 1099 process on the 31st, and then you would send the other form, which is a 1096, to the government, which allowed you an extra month, but they took that away from us. So you have to, there's no forgiveness. You've got to get it all done by the 31st.
No extensions,
so, yeah. So I like that idea. I think I'll be incurring some additional fees. Well, if it's anything like last year, it should be a banner year.
No, I have my clients do it monthly as they pay contractors, and especially if they're paying subcontractors.
Mm-hmm.
I set them up on Square on the subcontractor payroll section of that, and Square does the 1099s at year end. It's included in the cost. So
wow.
Subcontractor, it's $5 a month, unlimited payments to the subcontractor, and Square files everything. And I don't have to miss that.
That's perfect. Now, so I'm assuming Square will send them the W-9 as well, or require them to do it before getting paid?
And they do. They have a portal where the vendor can log on and put all their information in directly. So I don't have to pull any of that. They get all the W-9s directly.
Wow, it sounds like Square is pretty advanced down in the States.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of fancy. Interestingly enough, I'm quoting a person right now who has a very extensive subcontractor payroll.
Yep.
So their events management. So they could have 100 people being paid on a payroll. They could have 25 because it depends on what event happened that week and how many people they've got out working. Mm-hmm. And they are literally doing this on a Google sheet right now. The tracking, like it's scary. Like I'm looking at this going, there's no way, like just so that you know, like you're not hiring me into the system. This is not going to stay. It's going to be gone the second you decide to sign on with us. But we're looking at WagePoint because 1099s and W-9s and all of that is completely foreign to me. I've only ever dealt with the Canadian T4 system, but this person hires in both Canada and US. So this will be our first client that has the US side. And we're looking at WagePoint because we can set up 2 WagePoint accounts, one for Canada, one for US, and they will take care of the subcontractors in both countries. And our big concern is at the end of a year with different people working different events, and that their biggest year for T4As, which is our equivalent to the T99s, was 1,000.
Wow.
And I am not manually entering 1,000 people into the
Mhm.
CRA. Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So anyways, it's interesting that you say that about Square, because in payroll systems, most of them don't do it.
Yeah.
NitBit do it.
Square's the only one I know that has a contractor payroll, and they will just do contractor payrolls. You don't have to
Wow.
have employees also. You can sign up just for the Square contractor payroll. Like I said, it's $5 a month. If you don't pay anybody, they don't charge you. That's
a
not
great
$5
deal.
every month, whether you got somebody you're paying or not. No, if you have no contractors, there's no cost. So you pay as you use, and then that $5 a month covers unlimited direct deposits and the 1099 at year end. I mean, you can't beat that deal. It's a great deal.
That
Yeah,
sounds
it is.
great, because I know of other payroll companies that do offer contractor payments and handle the 1099, but don't really know that if they don't charge you if you don't use it that month.
Right.
Mhm.
So yeah, Square Payroll is great, and I use Square Payroll for my companies with employees because it's so easy to use. They've now got an accountant's portal. I was just added to that this week with all my clients, and it's just simple to use now. It was easy before, and their support cannot be beat. I don't care what company I've ever worked with. When I call Square Payroll, and it's not that often, but they leave you on hold for like 3 minutes, and then if they don't pick up, they just say, we're going to call you right back. And they're calling within 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, it's just excellent. And
Yeah, well, now that you've let the word out, Deb,
Yeah,
Everybody's
that's right.
calling.
that might get extended.
I don't know. Let me tell you, I was talking to Julie just last week about a 941 filing, and she was just excellent to work with. And then that's when she surprised me and said, yeah, we've got an accountant's portal. And I said, oh my gosh, sign me up. And they had me signed up that day. So you can't beat that. And it's live people, I really
That's great.
like talking to
Yeah,
them.
I'll have to look into that. I've been using nothing like that, but track 1099 to be able to send them out at the end of the year, the 1099s, the 1096s, and they also have this nice little feature, a W9 site where you can send a W9 securely to any of the subcontractors, and they'll sign it, put the information in, and it comes back to you. So that's been helpful. But if I don't have to deal with it, that'd be wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, big time, easy.
So on that note, I have a question regarding T4As, which is for the subcontractors in Canada. I have a client that I do a subcontractor, basically subcontractor payroll, but it's just bill payments or enter bills, pay bills. But it's a commercial cleaning service. And so part of the amount that we pay them is for the portion that they're earned for the billing month. Plus, if they buy supplies, then that is deducted from their check in that month. And then because the client charges a bond and a min fee, they may be charged that amount for taking on a new contract, and then that amount's deducted over time on their check. So it kind of makes, like if they make $1,000 a month, they might only get $800 because say $50 went to supplies and $50 went towards bond and a min fee. So at the end of the year, if I do a T4A just based on, say they made $800, how is that going to be correct for them to put a T4A on their tax return?
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Because it's not going to be right.
Are they buying the supplies though, Carol? Like who is buying the supplies?
They're buying the supplies from the client, from the client that they do the payroll for.
Because I would have thought that if they're buying,
I mean, they can use their own supplies. They have to provide their own supplies and their own equipment to do the job. That's what makes them a subcontractor. But they can buy, because they are a green cleaning company, they sell supplies to their customers as well as the contractors. They can buy their woolly dusters, their cleaning cloths, and the green cleaning solutions in order to do the job.
So Carol, when they invoice your client, do they separate it out on the invoice?
We actually charge them an admin fee, and I technically create the invoice for them because it would never be correct.
Okay, so can you,
I have it saved as a memorize transaction in QuickBooks Desktop, and then each month, if there's changes, I make the changes in the bill, and then import the bill. Because if they were to do it, I'd never get it on time. I'd never be able to get payroll finished on time, and it would always be wrong. So we charge them an admin fee for each contract that they have, and we do all that administrative work for them.
Okay, but Carol, let's say if they're billing $1,000, the bill is $1,000. That's what they are making. If their cost is being deducted off the top, they would have to record that cost as an expense within their own business because they're a subcontractor.
Yes.
So to me, their income should state the $1,000 they're making, and then they should claim the $200 on the expense side to lower their income.
in their books?
In their
Right.
books. Yeah,
Right.
because it doesn't affect, as far as your client's concerned, the opposite happened. Their client paid $1,000, but then made $200. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
I get that it cancels
So
out,
the
but it's not,
T4A would be, so I'm just
$1,000.
saying, so say we charged the customer $1,500 and we paid the cleaner $1,000, less few other things, their check was net $800. I would still submit the T4A as $1,000, correct?
yes, because that's their income. And now they can write off that amount that you deducted from them.
Right.
They can write it off as an expense. So in the end, the government is going to tax them on the $800,
Right.
but you got to show their income was $1,000.
Right. No, and that's why I'm trying to make sure on this. See, originally,
I mean, would you agree, Diane? 'Cause-
Yeah. I'm just trying to think it through in my head. If you're charging them,
well, they're buying the supplies from us. Technically. They're buying the supplies from us, but instead of writing us a check, we just deduct it off their check. Like, they don't have to buy the supplies from us.
they could make $1,000 and then go buy the supplies from someone else.
Yes.
I-
And
Carol,
not all of them buy
if
supplies
it
from us.
was me, I know if it was me, could you not use a contra account? Like I would almost want to do that as two separate transactions.
Well, it is separate. It is separate on the detail of what they are paid for, because it goes into two different accounts in as far as posting it, right? Because so just say it's George Jones. So George Jones 7,200 account gets paid $1,000 or posts $1,000, and the bank, right, debit to George Jones expense $1,000.
Yeah.
And then the deductions, say for supplies, I'm just going to say $100 so it makes it easier. That actually goes into a clearing account, because then that I have to clear off the AR side for what we invoice them, right?
So where is the sale of the supplies that you're charging them being booked to?
So
AR.
that goes to our revenue account. That's separate.
Okay.
But if the invoice is for $1,000 to George Jones, then I deduct $100 off their check, but it goes to a clearing account, not his expense account, because then on the invoice side, I do a credit of the $100 to clear the invoice on the
And that's why the check comes
receivable
out
side,
at,
and so that's the clearing, right?
and then that's why the check comes out at 800 and not at 1,000.
Right.
Yeah, I understand.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. The T4 would then be for 1,000.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I'm asking this, because originally when I started there, some accountant advised them they had to do T5018s. So I did T5018s for years, only to find out when we got a new accountant saying, hey, that's for construction. You don't need to do these.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I be doing T4As? He goes, well, it's kind of a gray area. So until the CRA pushes it, there's no definitive line on who is supposed to get it. So I haven't been, but being a part of your guys' world, I'm learning that I should be doing them. So I want to implement it this year, but I want to make sure I do it right so that when they take that T4A, which will make a world of difference for them, because most of them probably don't have bookkeepers, they're probably doing it themselves, or they take all their paperwork to the accountant and they're paying through the nose for a little business, right? Or they're doing it themselves. I don't know.
So Carol, let me just run this by you. I think that the issue is because you're doing the invoice. If they're a separate company that are charging you $1,000 a month, then they should be sending you an invoice for $1,000 a month.
But it's not always $1,000 a month. That's the problem.
Well, no, but they
whatever
should
the revenue portion of that is, whatever it is. So if they send you an invoice, then you're going to do a contra expense invoice up and use your clearing account to clear the two. I'm not even sure why you're doing a T4A.
And that could get a little bit dicey because the way the CRA defines employee versus contractors, by you defining what they're making, I kind of feel like you're blurring those lines. I mean, if they're...
No, actually, their contract has been tested with CRA. It's very clear they are a subcontractor. The only difference is that we do the bill up only because it has to be correct.
But that's causing you to have to do a T4A. You don't need a T4A if they just send you an invoice. They're a separate company sending you an invoice. Why do you, they're just like any other company sending you an invoice.
So I don't have to do a T4A?
No, if they send you just an invoice, and then you do an expense account up, clear the two between a clearing account and pay them the balance. So you're doing an expense invoice
There's 67 of them, and trust me, maybe one would get their invoice right, because as soon as they change a contract, right, either they get a new account or they lose an account, that then takes into effect how much they have to invoice for the partial month they cleaned. It doesn't work. That's why we charge the admin fee and we do it for them. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where the gray area comes in, though, which is why I guess you're doing a T4A.
Well, I'm not doing it. I'm thinking that I should be, but I want to make sure if I'm going to do it, that I'm getting it correct, because I don't want to do it incorrect and then have CRA go after them because they're exactly that. Them submit a T4A plus all their invoices that they paid all the expenses on, because then it's going to be wrong. So
I mean,
I
contra
don't have
accounts.
to do a T4A, then I won't do a T4A.
Yeah, I mean, contra accounts are used all the time between, a customer and a vendor. So I would really question. It would be worthwhile to a phone call to have that conversation with.
Now, depending on industry, though, there's a $5 or $500 limit rule, like as to where if they've invoiced you over $500 in the year. Now, but is that industry specific?
No. If you're doing T4As, anybody that you pay over $500 a year to, you require a T4A. But that's when it's not a company invoicing you. T4As are for, casual labor and per diems and if you had a board, then people on a board that you're paying a per diem to, that kind of thing.
So are these people who are on these contracts, Carol, are they working for other people as well? Are they running a company where this is one piece of their income?
Yeah.
Or is this all of their income?
No, it can be any part of it.
Yeah.
They have their own business.
Okay, so yeah, I think Diane's right. I mean, the gray area that you're creating is by you creating the contract. Because if they were doing it, then you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't do that.
And even still, Carol, even still, I would question it. I think that if these are a company and the invoice that they provide you has their GST number on it and has their company logo on it, that you're creating it for them. But if you have that, then you do not have to create a T4. I think the problem comes in is because you don't have a record from them with their GST number and their logo saying it's an invoice that they're charging you for.
Oh, no, I have all their GST information. It's right in the contract. They have to provide us with their GST number and their WCB number.
And I question that I don't, it could possibly not even require a T4A.
Okay, then I won't even worry about it. And I think that's why the accountant said, because there's nothing definitive defining who should actually get a T4A, that he says don't even bother.
Yeah, it would be worthwhile checking it out, because I think that you may be causing more work than you have to. Whoops, sorry.
Oh, my dog didn't even move. She's just flaked out. She says like, whatever. Digi. No, she's not even moving.
No.
I thought that might have made her go, whoop, what's that? Big dog in the room.
So funny.
No. Okay, and that's why I wanted to ask the question with people that I can safely talk to about it, because I don't want to open up a can of worms, and I don't want to do it if I don't have to, but I will do it if I have to.
I would actually confirm with the accountant for your company that you don't have to do a T4A.
Right, and he is the one that says no.
Yeah, that would be my advice. But then after that, I don't see myself why you would need to do a T4A if it clearly is a contract that says they're invoicing you and they're a separate company.
Yeah.
T4As are for people, not companies. T4As are for individuals that you pay money to without having an invoice or a contract with.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's the thing then, having the contract. Very good. Yay!
Awesome.
Thank you.
The kind of stuff that we're going to be teaching in our new Trifold Bookkeeper Advisor company.
Well, you know, I tell you, and I'm going to request this. I haven't had time to go on to the Facebook groups to get people to start plugging in for this, but we really, really need to have Intuit within QBO allow us to have more control in the payroll module. This was my response, and I don't know if I may have mentioned it in this group or maybe in a private group, about my one client in July who 7 out of 17 checks, which actually turned out to be 8 of them, the payroll was correct, but the amount that posted to the GL was incorrect, to the tune of over $3,000. So I put in a ticket. Long story short, I went all the way to level 2 engineers for payroll. They farted around for the last 3 weeks. And I finally got a response back from, is it Druvina? I might not pronounce that correctly. Anyways, this is it. Well, thank you for this. Oh no, that was my response. We won't go through that one. Hey Carol, I don't have great news for you, but I have some news. Just heard back from Maury. So I wanted to give you an update now. Since I will be out of office tomorrow, I don't want to wait until after the long weekend. After a call last week, Maury reached out to the QBO team to help get guidance on how they can fix this issue, since he didn't want to mess with payroll that had run. They said that it is not advised for technical reasons to do the data fix that we were hoping for, but rather suggested that doing an adjusting entry. So basically go in and do your own journal entry to fix our screw up.
Yep.
Still can't even explain how it could happen. And you don't want to know my response. So waiting 3 weeks, not able to do a bank reconciliation for the July, August, I'm not, just at September now, for them to come back with, and I mean, I could have fixed it. I could have not even gone there and just done a journal entry. But that isn't fixing or telling me why it happened. And I can't go in and fix it because we can't change payroll. So
Sounds to me like they don't know why it happened, Carol.
Yeah. Yeah.
My fear is that, I mean, I have to watch payroll all the time now to make sure that what goes through on the payroll is exact same in the GL, so that if something happens, I can fix it right away. And the only way to fix it is to delete and redo payroll.
And that's interesting
Which I
because
think
that's
is the
something
most
that we all have to
fascinating
kind of keep an eye on now. Like,
Yeah.
but I got that
It's
same.
a huge warning because in QuickBooks Desktop, that has never happened to me in 30 years of doing books.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm that old.
It's funny though that they're reverting to that journal entry because journal entries have never really played nice in QuickBooks. And I booked a call the other day for something and I was hoping they might give me some insight into something. And I got the exact same, well, why can't you just take all of it and journal entry it over? And I'm like, because that's not really the fix that I want. Like, I don't want to just Band-Aid it. Like, that's really frustrating. So,
Yeah. Well, and that's what I had to do. So then when I was doing the reconciliation, it's like, okay, it's this check, but I know that's the wrong amount. Oh, here's my journal entry as the credit to offset the two 8 times. And then, of course, last night, you know, when you get those ghosting, okay, we're not going to really reconcile. We're going to make the number go up, 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 up to like $400,000 you're out of. And yeah. I had to undo the reconciliation 2 times and then end up closing it, redoing my whole reboot, go back in, and then QuickBooks worked. And then I had to manually redo reconciliation again. So 3 hours later and 8 journal entries, I fixed what I could have fixed in 2 minutes 3 weeks ago. And I can't charge the client for it.
yeah.
But I did demand that I get a credit on my account for some of this frustration because it's absolutely ridiculous. Anyways,
You guys see my view?
yes, it's beautiful. I was just on the island last weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm in Gibson's.
No, I know. I saw Gibson's from where I was.
Yeah.
I was down at the seashore. I could see Gibson's.
Yes, that's my view from my house.
That is beautiful.
It was nice.
So, where are you exactly?
So it's called the Sunshine Coast.
Mhm.
It is still actually the mainland. Most people think it's an island, but it's not. It's on the mainland, right above Vancouver. It's just there's no roads to get here because there's a big mountain in the way. So you have to take a ferry boat, but it's 9 nautical miles from Vancouver.
Okay.
So on the ferry, it's a 40-minute ferry ride into Vancouver.
How beautiful.
Yeah. Yes, it's pretty special. So I thought, like Deb, I could take a picture of this
Absolutely.
and put it as my background instead of my office.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and do that. And I can go out on the deck so I don't have my doors and stuff in the way. It would be nice.
Do it right from the beach. That'd be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a fun exercise. We should all go find something scenic in our communities and make it our background pictures next week.
Yeah. And then
I'll tell Tanya.
You got me dancing on the beach.
And then people could guess where you were.
That's a great idea. I'm going to go out and take some pictures this weekend.
There you go.
I better text Tanya right now and tell her she has homework. Oh, by the way, here's what I said you're doing next week.
Gonna love this.
Anyways,
Well, everybody have a great Thanksgiving weekend. I know for you
Yes.
guys in the States, it's not your Thanksgiving quite yet. A couple more weeks.
But you
Halloween.
guys will be
us
bragging
here.
in a month from now and you'll be having turkey and we won't.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you might be having turkey in the snow. Except for Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica never sees that. But we had our
No.
first snow here yesterday in
Oh,
Colorado.
did you?
So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
They don't see it under 400 acres there.
Yeah, temperature was at 14, I think,
Wow.
Fahrenheit.
It's another special day for me today.
What?
Today I have been married 45 years.
Oh my
Oh,
heavens.
congratulations.
Congratulations. Wow.
Nice.
45th wedding anniversary
How
today.
special.
And you're here with us.
Yes, because he's at work. So it's pretty much a regular day, but
Huh?
So tonight we shouldn't try phoning you?
no.
All right.
Oh.
Party at Diane's house tonight.
Yes. Party at Diane's.
Party for two.
Oh, it must be the husband.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we'll sign off there, guys. It's 4:30. Enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend to those of you in Canada, and otherwise, just enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thanks so much
All right.
for
Yes, thanks everybody.
joining us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Have a nice one.